How to stay calm when you're triggered. Having a little exploration of anger at the moment, um, an emotion that used to be a huge part of my life. It was there all the time. Well, not all the time, obviously, but it was there a lot of the time. And I think I went through a number of phases in my relationship with anger because actually that's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about the anger itself as much as our relationship with it, because I think we've been taught from a very young age that anger is not okay. Like I see people with little children, and I'm going to put my hand up and say, and me with my own little children when they were little, where there's um, this kind of squashing down. Anger isn't appropriate, it shouldn't be happening, it's not allowed to be here. And I think that's maybe something that I've seen the gentle parenting movement has brought to the fore, is this allowing children, not allowing children to do what they like, but allowing children to have an emotional experience which is normal and human. But I think I was brought up in an era, born in 1971, 54 at the moment of making this video, um, an era in the 70s and 80s where it wasn't really okay to have your emotional experience. It wasn't okay to express yourself, not just in terms of anger, but it wasn't okay to express sadness or fear or all sorts of things. We were very much brought up to get on with it, really, and to get over it. Now, I do think that has had some benefits. I do think that we're a tough old boot bunch of a generation. We are a bunch of tough old boots because we had to get on with it. But I also think we've been left with um, some conditioning, I'm going to say, that isn't really very helpful. So I think a number of things happen when we feel anger. We may try to manage it. So we may try to get rid of it, squash it down. Now, when I say managing anger, I think that can go inside and it can go outside. So in the past, for me, managing anger was all about getting the other person to stop doing that really annoying thing they were doing, because clearly that was why I was upset. That's why I was angry, because another human was being a right old pain in the you know what and doing something. So there was a lot of shouldn'ting of other people. So my methodology to manage anger was to try and get the other person to stop it. And that often meant me speaking unpleasantly to people close to me, particularly people close to me, but also getting myself into a bit of a state. If somebody pulled out in front of me at the roundabout, I would lose my lose my senses, lose my sense really, lose my sanity almost, because somebody had just pulled out in front of me at the roundabout. I often say to people that, jokingly, that my children learned to swear in the back of the car, because that is when I would F and Jeff at people who I felt hadn't behaved appropriately. So there's that sort of outside management of anger, and then there's the trying to stay calm, which is what we're really focusing on in this video. Um, you know, how to stay calm when you're triggered, it can get you into a right old mess, really. And so this is why this is a different approach, really. When we feel angry, we quite often begin to judge ourselves. We're not kind to ourselves. We're quite cruel to ourselves. We shouldn't be angry. Again, we're back to that conditioning that says it's not okay to be angry. But what I'm pointing to here is what would happen if we met that anger with some awareness, rather than control. If we just and this is where this purposeful pause I talk about, the purposeful pause comes in, is where we stop, we feel our feet on the floor, we take a breath, and we meet that anger with curiosity, with almost nosiness, but with awareness. You're not anger. You're not an angry person. You're not, you're not filled with anger. It is an emotion like any other emotion which is passing through your body. It's a movement of energy. And what I've noticed for me when I just pause long enough to just bring my awareness almost down into my body, down into this space inside me. There's not this looking to control it. How do I get rid of it? What do I do about it? It's much more about, what has anger got to teach me here? It's not a threat. It's not something awful. It's not something I have to get rid of. But does that anger, what is that anger trying to say to me? What is the message there? And I find that there's just this connection to wisdom, I think, in that moment, because I do truly believe that our emotions are wisdom, but they are there to guide us, to let us know that we're much too much in our heads, we're much too much in our thinking, we're much too much in our past conditioning in that moment. And when we pause long enough to sit and be with the emotion, when we feel it, there's this sort of resettling really into the present moment, into a connection with our wisdom, and into, I think, some guidance as to what to do next. Because as I've said before, I don't think like learning about anger and understanding ourselves better in that context is not about allowing people to treat us badly, to be unpleasant to us, to cross our boundaries. It's not about that. But when we're calmer, we can express those boundaries much more clearly. So there's this looking inwards. It's a remembering, oh yeah, this is an inside out job. This feeling I have right now, no matter what the feeling is, but anger in particular, is not coming from that other person. I'm going to say person because I'm not sure many of us get angry with much else. There's usually a person at the at the core of why we're upset, or a group of people perhaps, or our thinking rather about that group of people or that person, not them. And I think sometimes when we really see the emotion, when we sit with the emotion, we can then go, oh yeah, look, I've got thinking that says they shouldn't be like this, or they should be different, or what the heck's wrong with them that they're doing this again, or I've told them umpteen times not to do this, or why would anybody behave like that? Like for me, often I suppose it still comes up now around, why would anybody behave like that? People leaving dog poo on the pavement and litter and things like that. But even then, I'm beginning to see this space of compassion where that other person does what they do because they understand what they understand. And they don't see the world the same way as I see the world. They understand that in their own special way. That's my special alarm telling me that I can drink because I'm trying to not drink when I eat at the moment to help my digestive system. Anyway, that's a side issue. So that noticing of the feeling, that grounding into your body, that watching as well. Like when we're angry and we react and we say something horrible usually, or do something that's not very kind to another person, it's seeing that we never needed to do that because the feeling itself was already moving through. It's already got that capacity. It seems this session is somehow bound to be interrupted by various things that happen, like me just sneezing my head off, but fortunately having a mute button on my mic that meant that you didn't have to have your ears blown off by me sneezing. Oh my goodness, where on earth am I on this? Feet on the floor. I'm in my office making a video. So perhaps a personal kind of how things are different for me when I see this and when I don't see this. And trust me, many a time I do not see this. I completely miss how upset and angry I am. And it really looks like it's generally Bruce, bless him, who gets the brunt of it. It generally looks like it's Bruce who's done something he shouldn't have done, or not done something he should have done. But here's the difference. So if I start to feel, I would say, more irritated than angry. I don't think it's got quite as much of a flare these days, but the flare comes up the middle of my body. If I see it, I tend to just breathe, and I feel into my body, and I can feel the rushed up and the need to speak fast and get things out and say things and get things resolved. I can feel that, and I pause long enough to feel that. And then just how I speak to him is just more like this. Whereas when I don't, when I really in that moment, obviously innocently believe that that feeling is coming from him, then it's, then it's anger and vitriol, and it's just not nice, really. And and what I want you to know about that is that comes and goes, and I'm one thing one minute, and I'm another way with it the next minute. It's always changing. But the power is in slowing down. In fact, the power of everything, I think, is in slowing down and remembering that your true nature, your deeper nature is that feeling of calm. When you're feeling angry, you're not connected, you're always connected to it, but your reactions are coming from thought, really, and not from that deeper nature, coming from conditioning, coming from the past, coming from what you think is right and wrong. So I hope that's a little bit helpful. I hope that can help you to see, how to stay calm when your trigger. For me is, don't try to stay calm, but always pause. Be pausing when you're having a great day, to just make that a habit, really, because I think it's really, really powerful to take time out to pause, to breathe, to allow yourself to be with you exactly as you are without needing to change yourself. And see how that all self-rights by itself without you needing to do anything. So yeah, I really hope that's helpful. Take care, lots of love, and I'll